Yeah. Maybe do you want me to start with a kind of an overview?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. So a variety of things going on tomorrow night at the school board's meeting. One is working on budget development. We continue to deal with record high inflation. Everything costs more. Chicken nuggets cost more. Diesel costs more. Our insurance rates have more than doubled. So we're continuing to work through that budget process while anxiously awaiting finalization of the state funding streams as well as what's going to happen at the federal level. School board will also be talking about our Engage in Real Life initiative. Every kid, every day, doing something outside of school. We want kids off of their screens, out of their homes, together in real life. We've had enormous success this year with that message. Enrollments, K through 12, have really exploded. Clubs, performing arts, sports teams, we're just literally bursting at the seams. And excited to share that what we know about the research in kids participating in things outside the school is playing out in Spokane. Students that are in those activities have better attendance, lower behavior issues, and improved academics. And so that return on the investment of those resources is really having a profound impact in Spokane Public Schools. So really encouraged by that. That will continue to be a focus moving into next year. It also links really closely to another topic on the school board agenda, and that's the Together Spokane Initiative. In order to meet that vision of every kid every day doing something out of school, we need a large scope of programming, lots of different high interest activities for kids. We've got amazing community partners that step forward and help us do that. But you also need infrastructure. You need the court spaces. You need the play fields in order to make that happen. Our Together Spokane initiative that we are in partnership with the Parks Department really sets out to make a historic contribution to our community. Every school, every neighborhood park, including major projects such as an indoor aquatic center, an indoor tennis center, a field house with 5 courts, up to 15 all-weather fields with lights throughout the city. We need more spaces for kids. We can't have soccer practice with 8 teams on a field at one time. We can do better in Spokane. We don't want to turn kids away. And the school board will be taking action on that initiative tomorrow night. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
From the data collected in the Real Life Initiative, what have you seen, like who does it affect, what does it affect, and then also what do Spokane Public Schools plan on doing going forward to help it grow even more?
Yeah. Well, we're seeing a positive impact at elementary, middle, and high school. We're seeing some of the strongest gains at middle school. Having middle schoolers to be engaged in something outside of the school day, keeping them off of those personal devices, is keeping them together, doing something productive, that's structured. We're seeing a significant impact in a variety of metrics, that really center around attendance. How often are they coming to school? Their behavior, how they're conducting themselves when they're there, and then how productive they're being in their academics. We're going to continue to ask kids, what do you want to do? Are there things that we don't offer that you wish that we could provide? We have, again, amazing partners such as the Parks and Rec Department, Spokane Youth Sports Association, Hoop Fest. They're all coming to the table, helping us to expand those opportunities for kids, reduce barriers around transportation and cost, which is huge, and then making sure we have the space available. That's probably the biggest demand right now is space. We're out of courts. We're out of play fields. We're having to limit the number of practices that kids can have in a week because there just isn't enough room to go around in our city, which is why the Together Spokane Initiative is so critically important for our community.
Tomorrow for the Together Spokane, the board is going to likely approve it. That's what's on the agenda tomorrow, correct?
Yep, it's set for them to take action.
This was announced in February.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about any of the community feedback that you've heard regarding this initiative?
Yeah, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive across a really wide range of constituents in our community. Something that we've heard is just a recognition that, it's a real thing to pay your taxes. And that's a real impact to our families and to the ability for them to provide and thrive. And so it's no small thing to be going to the community asking for a tax initiative. What we've heard is the value proposition in this is high. And that was one of our goals, is that we could set out to provide, and it's over 200 projects, 30 major infrastructure improvements and facilities, and really with the goal of, can every member of our community look at this initiative and ask themselves, does this save me money, or is it worth the less than $8 a month that the average homeowner would pay? And we really set out to provide that value proposition. Maybe you enjoy trails, so it's worth that less than $7 a month. Maybe it's going to open up more programming for a family that's dealing with childcare cost burden, and they can have their kids in an after-school program rather than having to find childcare. Saves them some money. Maybe it means they don't have to drive across the county to get to their kids' practice, and now we've reduced transportation costs. So does every member of our community, whether you're a student, whether you're a working professional, or in our retired community, can everyone look at this initiative and ask themselves, does this save me money? Is there something in here that maybe saves me money? Maybe I have a membership someplace and now I'm going to be able to access that same experience in a public facility. Or is it worth that less than $8 a month? Maybe you really love your local park and you want to see the bathroom renovated. You want to see more lighting in your local park. So does it save every member of the community money, and or is it worth that less than $7 a month? That's been the main piece of the feedback, is that value proposition. People are going to the website, they're looking at all these projects, and they're coming back and saying, yeah, I see the value proposition for myself and for my family, and really that was one of the main goals. And that only happens through the power of partnerships. It only happens because Spokane Public Schools, the Parks and Rec Department are working together, sharing land, sharing resources, sharing programming, and that up to $11 million of private funds from organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, Spokane Youth Sports Association, the United States Tennis Association. Those private dollars are also bringing that value proposition to the level that it's at.
And just to jump in there, $798 for the average $330,000 median house price.
Yep.
So assuming the voters calculated how much they'll be paying per year if they own the house, what other factor do they have to hold on to, even if all of the schools and like parks being worked on aren't in their community?
Well, that's the thing about the initiative, is that every neighborhood park is touched by this initiative. Every neighborhood school is touched by this initiative, as well as those larger community projects like the Indoor Aquatic Center, the field house, and really that was the goal. Every single neighborhood gets some level of investment to try to get to that value proposition where people could say, you know, is this worth the investment? For our school bond, it's an additional 2 cents to people's existing bond bill. So we have a bond bill, we pay bonds off, and we've added bonds on over the last 30 years. And so people have an existing bond bill. This adds 2 cents to their existing bond bill. Again, really trying to get at that value proposition.
We've done several stories with both you and Parks regarding this initiative. I think one of the stories that we really haven't touched on is that partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Can you talk about that importance and what the community should know about that?
Absolutely. Boys and Girls Club, incredible national organization. They provide just such critical experiences for kids across the country. We're really fortunate for this Boys and Girls Club chapter of Spokane County. They have a facility in Northeast Spokane. It doesn't meet the needs. It's in significant disrepair, and we're really excited to partner with them. The new Madison Elementary will also be a Boys and Girls Club and a field house. And that's really part of us stepping back and saying, we need to do better than just building standalone schools. We need to provide assets to our community that provide a multitude of experiences for both kids and adults. And that's what makes the Madison Project so special, is it's a community center that has a school inside of it, a Boys and Girls Club inside of it, a 5-court field house, and an event venue for our community. Not just a school, now it's a community center that does a variety of different things. And the south part of town, the new Adams Elementary, will be a Boys and Girls Club as well. We've had a lot of growth in that part of the community. There isn't many things for kids to do in that unstructured time in the evenings, on the weekends. I worry sometimes that the South Hill Target is the youth center for the South Hill, and we can do better. We can do better as a community. And we know that when kids have structured, productive things to do, where they're able to be with each other, be with trusting, caring adults, we know that determinants for youth improve, whether that's physical, social, academic. Things are better for kids when they're involved in productive activities. And kids are only with us for a portion of their waking hours. And as a community, we can work together to make sure that no kid is sitting at home, isolated on a screen. We can work together as a community to provide rich youth experiences for kids that we know is going to translate into their well-being in childhood, but it's also going to help be a catalyst for them becoming a working professional.
So your phone policy is going to continue next year, correct?
Absolutely.
Are there little things that you've learned that you might tweak, that you overall that the concept works, but are there little things that you found, we could do a little bit better here?
Yeah, I think that our initiative to ban cell phones in the classroom has been a tremendous success. We've heard positive feedbacks really across almost every section of our community. One of the things that we'll continue to do is just keep messaging it throughout the year and just really help promoting that consistency. We have 6,000 adults, we have 30,000 kids. Keeping everybody consistent and everybody on the same page for 180 school days, their effort has to go into that. And so no substantive change other than we just want to keep the consistency going, we want to keep the messaging going, we want to continue to reinforce those habits. And we're just seeing really incredible outcomes. You walk into our cafeterias during lunch and they're louder because kids are talking to each other. Those 3 or 4 minutes, when the lesson wraps up, we've all been there before, the teachers finish their lesson, they tell you to pack up and get ready to move to the next place. That time was being consumed by kids on devices. Now, with devices put away, kids are spending those moments talking to each other, getting to know them. I've talked to high school kids and they say, I know more kids this year than I did any other year of my high school experience. Those are the types of comments that really show us that the relationships that were being severed and the human connection that was being severed by these devices was having a detrimental impact to our schools. So we couldn't be proud of our kids for making this transition really successfully, for the most part, being really positive about it. Couldn't be more grateful for the teachers that are working every day to provide that consistency. And most importantly, our families. We can't do anything without a partnership with our families. If our parents are not on board with us, then it's going to be tough. And our parents really stepped up and said, yes, we're with you. We understand the why. We're going to be reinforcing this at home. We're all going to be on the same page as the adults in our community. And I really think that's why it's been successful. We're hearing from school districts all over the country wanting to know how things went, why things went so well in Spokane this year.
Yeah, the state legislature was talking about this, other districts as well. You're getting calls from other places about this?
Getting calls from other school districts in Washington State as well as across the country, both school districts and nonprofit organizations that are working towards the same thing we're working towards. We want a healthy, thriving community. We want kids to be healthy, both socially and physically, and we want to be a thriving community where kids make that really positive transition into a post-secondary experience or the workforce. And we know that the screens have had a massive detrimental impact on the childhood experience since 2008. The data jumps off the page. Anxiety, depression, eating disorder, self-esteem, the percentage of kids getting their driver's license, the percentage of 18 to 24-year-olds that are entering the workforce. The data's clear. When the iPhone came out in 2008, the youth experience started to decline. And we can change that, and we are changing that, and there's a lot to be proud of in Spokane.
The other school districts, are there any off the top of your head you could name? Like
We've mostly heard from districts, we have a lot of connected tissue with our local school districts, so we're in pretty regular conversation with them. We're hearing from districts, across the state and the country, as well as I mentioned, organizations that are trying to come alongside school districts and help them make the transition. But we've, almost every school district in the county has inquired on how it's gone for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay, other organizations wanting to come alongside in the transition. Have you ever considered doing anything like that for your school district? I mean, you've already transitioned into a cell phone-less environment, but any like partners or anything like that?
Not necessarily for technical assistance, but partnerships are essential. And so Launch Northwest is a great example. They have been a critical partner. They came alongside us from the very beginning. They helped with community messaging. You'll see billboards around Spokane about our IRL initiative. They've contributed staffing resources so we can have engagement navigators inside of our schools. They've helped fund a community directory for youth activities for our IRL initiative. So the power of partnerships is the future of our community. The more that we can partner together, the stronger and the healthier Spokane's going to be. And I think Spokane Public Schools, Launch Northwest, the Parks and Rec Department are really powerful examples of what partnerships can do.
How you guys would deal with if this levy doesn't pass, or bond doesn't pass, excuse me.
Yeah, well, the one thing that we believe deeply is the voters are wise. And our job is to listen to the community, listen to the needs, listen to proponents, listen to opponents, and provide opportunities for the community to consider. And that's what the Together Spokane Initiative is. It was about listening. The park did a significant amount of work listening to the community around the needs of the park system. Spokane Public Schools has done a significant amount of listening before and after the failed 2024 bond in February. And we've taken that feedback. We've developed a proposal for our community to consider. And we know our voters are wise. If it moves forward, we're excited about the investment and the opportunities and the value that'll bring to the community. If the outcome is something different than that, then we will continue to listen and we'll continue to bring forward opportunities for our community to consider to invest in Spokane. The one thing we know is we have to keep investing in our future. We have to keep caring about our future. We have to be good stewards of our future. We owe that to our kids, and we owe that to the legacy of Spokane to continue to think about where are we going next. And our job as school officials and city officials is to think about what those opportunities could be and present them to the voters to consider.
What has your communication been with, this was presented in February, and then tomorrow the board officially or not, or doesn't make it move forward. What has the conversation been like since February with the school board?
Yeah, well, conversation with the school board is, started with sharing what the study, the results of the study were that we conducted with the Parks Department, and then really just engaging in that dialogue. And that dialogue has really centered around, times are tough. People are feeling the burden of taxes, and we have to continue to think about the future. And so how do we provide a value to every single member of our community where they either save money or it's worth that less than $8 a month for the average homeowner? It's really centered around what the objectives and the goals of this initiative is, and that's been about value to our community and investing in our future.
Would you mind sharing again what that student shared with you about the IRL initiative and other comments you heard from students?
Yeah, something I've heard overwhelmingly from kids is that they know each other better. They know more kids than they did all of last year. They know their teachers better than they did last year. And, we can never, assert causation, but we know that there's correlations. And not having cell phones in our classrooms, not having them at all during the day for elementary and middle school, we know that that is having a positive effect. And you don't have to look any further than asking the kids. The number of books that are being checked out in our middle school libraries has skyrocketed. The volume level at lunch has increased. They're talking to each other again. They're getting to know each other. They're visiting with a peer that maybe before They were looking on Instagram or Snapchat, and now they're getting to know a kid that's maybe new to the school and hasn't had a chance to get to know anyone yet. So something that we believe is true of schools and our community. Everything orbits around relationships. Everything orbits around getting to know each other as people, getting to build a sense of belonging and connection. When that exists, we're stronger together. We're stronger in supporting each other. We're stronger in encouraging each other. We're stronger in problem solving together. We're stronger in collaborating with each other. That's true in our schools. We're seeing it happen, and we know it's true for our community as well.